Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is really on the kind of the social media side of BNI Connect. So what we're going to talk about is how to use BNI Connect on kind of a grander scale, how to tap into the really the global nature of the BNI Connect database. So what we're going to be talking about today is connections, how we can find people around the world that are in BNI. We're going to talk about how we can connect with them or kind of put them into our personal BNI address book. We're going to talk about testimonials. Once we get to know people on BNI, we can leave each other testimonials about the great services that we do for each other. And then finally, we're going to talk about the groups. There is a group discussion functionality here in BNI Connect that allows you to have talks or discussions with other people around the world. And it's a great way to build relationships with the other members that are in BNI. Before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping things. This is a live webinar, so if you have any questions as we're going through the material today, please do feel free to ask those questions. All you got to do is type your question into the question panel. I'll see that pop up on my screen and I'll be able to answer them as we're going through the material today. Now we're scheduled for about 30 minutes worth of content. It takes about 25 to 30 minutes to go through this particular piece of BNI Connect. That being said, I am happy to stay on the line until every single question has been answered. So the only silly question is the unasked question. We're also recording this webinar, so the recording will be made available up on our support site, so support.bniconnect.com, or you can always click on this question mark here in the upper right-hand corner. That will take you to the support site. You can also find all of the recordings on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. So youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, and I'll show you those links in just a little bit. So let's talk about today's topic again, which is really the social media aspect. So what we're looking at right now is the home screen in BNI Connect. So we did cover this quite a bit in the online slips webinar from yesterday, but a couple of very quick things to review as we're talking about social media stuff here. We're talking about really, our profiles in BNI Connect, and as we're searching for other people and as other people are searching for you, one thing that you absolutely want to make sure that you do is to please have your profile filled out. There's nothing worse than somebody going onto your profile, seeing you there and not seeing a picture or not seeing a profile filled out. They don't have your business name, or you don't have your description, or you don't have your bio or any of that other information. This is a credibility building process. So before you do anything else, do make sure that you click on this update profile link right on the home screen. Update profile, my BNI page. This is how you fill out your profile. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I did go over this on Monday's webinar. You can catch the recording if you'd like to. Basically, just make sure you go through these tabs and fill out all of the information. But I want to highlight two very, very important things. The first of which is down here on the first page. You have keywords, and this is how you can put stuff in so that people can find you when they don't know your name. So one thing to keep in mind is that BNI Connect, when we do all these searches and we're going to go and we're going to find people, it's a database search. So we don't quite have the budget or search algorithms of, let's say, Google, where you're really trying to put in as much terminology as possible to narrow down billions of web pages into a couple of results or a couple of relevant results. This is kind of the opposite. We are doing more of an exact word search. So the keywords become very, very important, because when somebody goes and let's say they're looking for a new bookkeeper. So they type in bookkeeper, Rhode Island. If your category is listed or your classification is listed as bookkeeping and they're doing a search for bookkeeper, it won't come back with a match. So that's why you really have to be careful, and you have to go through the keywords and supplement what it is that you do and what you're listed as with keywords. So if you are a bookkeeper and the service is listed as bookkeeping, make sure you put bookkeeper in there as well. It also works for geographic locations, because when BNI Connect, when we're doing a search, and let's say, I'm doing a search for bookkeepers in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is a really, really, really small state. So I want to make sure that I'm found not just in Rhode Island, but also in Massachusetts and Connecticut. So it's going to search based on my address details, which is Rhode Island. If I want to be found in other places, I need to make sure I put those into the keywords as well. It works for states. You can put state abbreviations in, or maybe if you're in a state that you find that people spell more often than put the abbreviation in for, maybe you want to have the spelling of the state in the keywords and have the abbreviation of the state in your address details. Okay, so really do make sure that you're updating your keywords. Now, the second thing to keep in mind is you want to go over to this account settings tab. And right here at the top, what you're going to see is the member to member settings. So these are the settings. So when people find you in BNI Connect, which we're going to do in just a second, they're going to see certain pieces of information depending on whether they're connected with you or not. Now, most of the time when people are using BNI Connect, they want to find your services and use your services right away. So when I'm looking for a plumber, I might want to be connected with you, but I kind of want your phone number and your contact details right away. I don't necessarily want to wait until you accept the connection request and so on and so forth. So make sure that you come to the settings tab. And my recommendation to you is to please share your contact details with everybody, not just with your connections. And that way people can pick up the phone and call you right away. Down at the bottom of this page, again, we're going to talk about how we connect with people. If you want these connection requests and the notifications and things like that to go to your regular email and not just be a message internally in the system, then make sure that you have your forwarding turned on as well to, for example, forward my connection requests to my email address. So if you'd like to receive those notifications, please make sure to go down and mark those to yes. All right, so enough about that. Let's take a look at some of these actual networking components. From the home screen here, you'll notice this is the My BNI Business. So this is all about you and your membership and the ability to pass slips and things like that. You'll see on the left-hand side these menus. The next one down says My Network. And what you want to do is click on My Network. And what this will show you is all of the different, really, the networking components of BNI Connect. So they're broken into tiles on this screen. You can see we have connections. Now the connections are your personal address book. So you should automatically have, probably 20, 30, 40 connections in there because you are connected to the people in your chapter. You're automatically connected to those people. Those connections are managed by BNI Connect. So if somebody comes and joins your chapter, you will automatically have a connection to them. If somebody leaves your chapter, they drop out of BNI, they will no longer be in your connections. However, you can start to build your connections address book by going into the system and doing some searches in the directory and sending out a connection request, very, very similar to how you would connect with somebody in LinkedIn or Facebook or anything like that. So that's what connections are. The next thing over is the groups. The groups are the discussion groups, and there's about 500 active discussion groups. We'll get into that a little bit later as well, show you how those work. The next thing over says documents. The documents are your regional document library. So these are things that your region is uploading into BNI Connect to share with you. So it's not a universal national thing or international thing. It's really your executive directors, your regional admins, whatever things they may want to share. So things like, the visitor sign-in sheet, or we have, how to work with visitors in BNI Connect. So these are all different things that my personal region is sharing with us here. Going down to the second row, we have testimonials. I'll show you in just a couple of minutes how to give testimonials to other people and how other people can give testimonials to you. The events are all of the regional events that you may wish to attend. Things like member success program or advanced trainings or even these webinars. If you'd like to look at the list of those events, just click on the More button and you can see all of the relevant events or trainings that are available in your area. The next thing over is the messaging. There is an internal messaging system in BNI Connect where you can send messages to other people in BNI Connect. Now, keep in mind it is an internal messaging system. Unless people have that turned on to notify them in their regular email address, which by default it doesn't, those messages stay inside BNI Connect and people will only see them if they log into the system. So keep that in mind if you are going to use that messaging system. People may not get those messages immediately unless they log in and look for them. So let's look at the connections interface. So the connections, if I click on manage under connections, that will take me into my connections, or really again my personal BNI address book. I can also get there up here in the menus. We have network operations, reports, tools, and admin. Network will also offer links to get into all of these different things. So I can either go to network connections, or on the my network page I can click on manage. All right, and this will bring me into the connections interface. What you'll see on the left-hand side is a list of all my connections. I have 532 connections, so people that I've connected with over the past few years in BNI. I can scroll through them, click on a name, and it will show me their profile. There, you can also see them on the right-hand side here as well, with a little picture in front of them. And I could also click on their name here as well. So let's say I click on Bob here, Bob Greenup. Bob is a director in Australia, in the Sydney region of Australia, and here we can see an extended version of his profile. So I can see what he's working on, what his address is, what his email is. I can send him an email or go click on his website, check out any of his social media profiles, his phone number, his company, and then it gives me a couple of options underneath that as well. So I could send him one of those internal messages. I could also ask Bob for a testimonial. I could give Bob a testimonial. I could go and view Bob's profile, or I can remove Bob from my connections. If I want to go see his full profile, for example, I can just click this link here, view Bob's profile. And this will take me to his full profile. Now there's more information available on the full profile. So there's, for example, all of the different roles that he has in the organization. It shows his full name, his business description, his keywords, his company, his logo, all of his phone numbers. So this is a way that I can get in touch with him. Has all this information. From a credibility building standpoint, I can also click on his bio tab. I can read more about him and his gains profile, his tops profile. If you think back to Member Success Program, one of the things that we're taught in Member Success Program to really turbocharge our one-to-ones, what we're supposed to do is before every one-to-one meeting, we're supposed to do a gains exchange where, let's say that I'm having a meeting with Bob. When I first joined BNI in 2002, I was taught that we had to fax that information over. So I would fax Bob over my gains profile, and he would fax me his gains profile. Now, I don't even own a fax machine anymore, but I can now just go to Bob's profile and I can read his gains profile. I have all this information. Or if he wanted to, he could email that information to me as well. I can tell you it really does help with those one-to-ones because you'll start off on a deeper level right away. I can also see all the people that Bob is connected with. So if I find somebody looking through this list that I'm not connected with yet, and maybe I want to go check out their profile, I can always click on their name and it will bring me through to theirs. Now, LinkedIn, I believe, has it's either 2 or 3 levels deep, I believe, that you can click through on people's connections. You can actually keep clicking through forever in BNI Connect, as deep as you want to go with people and their connections and their connections and their connections. Testimonials. Unfortunately, Bob doesn't have any testimonials at the moment, but this is where testimonials will be displayed. There's also a photo sharing library. You can share up to 20 photos. You can see what groups people are participating in, and you can also see their training history. All right, but that's all well and good, but how do I start getting connected to people? So let me go back to connections here, network connections. There's always 2 or 3 different ways to get to everything. One of the ways that you can get it is if you are back here in My Connections, up here at the top, you'll see Add Connection. Add Connection. Back on the home screen on the My Network tab, you can click on Add down here. So that's the second way. And then there's a third way to get there from any screen in BNI Connect. You should always see this bar up along the top, and there's a magnifying glass. You can click that as well. Any of these will all take you to the same place. The BNI Global Directory. This right here is the search mechanism where you can find any member in the world. Now, this is a huge benefit. When I first joined BNI, the only people I knew in BNI were the 20 people in my chapter, and that was the extent of what I thought BNI was. Then I went to my first training event in the region, and I got to meet other BNI members from around my area. And when I became a director consultant and I started going to national and international conferences for BNI, I got to meet people from all around the world in BNI. And the great thing is that we're all doing the same thing. We're all passing referrals. We're all building our businesses. There is a level of trust with other BNI members that we don't have just by doing a Google search or finding people on Craigslist or Angie's List or just randomly on the web. We automatically start off with a higher level of credibility with each other because we have this system in place. So now when I need to refer somebody, the first place I'm going to do is look in the BNI Global Directory for somebody that I might be able to refer in that area. Let me give you a quick example. I own a computer company, and we do a lot of managed services. So one of my guys was working on a server for a client that had an office here in Rhode Island. They had an office in Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C., and they have an office in Florida. And while he's working on the server for this guy in D.C., all of a sudden he lost connection. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's trying everything to get reconnected to the server. He's called up, he's talking to them saying, hey, do you mind trying this? Remove this wire and add this wire and do this and that, and we could not get the server back up and online. So that means I had a couple of choices. I hop in a plane and go down there. We hop in a car and drive 8-9 hours to get down there. Or what if there was somebody locally that could stop by? So the first thing I did was I went to, I did computer in DC. And this is going to return results for people that have computer in their profile from Washington, D.C. So here's a bunch of different results. And actually what I did was Virginia at that point because it was outside of Virginia. And here we go. We have all these different like IT services and computer services all from the Virginia area. I could click through to any of these profiles, and what I did was I made a list of 3 or 4 or 5 people that were in that area, and the ones that actually had a credible profile and were sharing their phone number, I gave them a call and ended up with finding somebody down there right outside of DC. They got there at 8:30 the next morning and rescued us. That's the power of BNI Connect, and people are doing that all over the world on a day-to-day basis. It has become incredibly helpful, but again, only if you have your profile filled out, and you can use this search mechanism. Now, when you want to connect with people, either for those services or those types of referrals, again, you can do a search here. Of course, you can search by name, so I can do a search, Jeremy Walsh, for example. And here's one profile. This is a test profile I have up in Antarctica, and you can see here, if you don't have your profile filled out or you're not sharing any information, if anybody comes across this profile, they are most likely going to not add you to their connections and just move along. That's what I did with some of those people that I found that were computer consultants down there in Virginia. They hadn't filled out their profile or they weren't sharing their phone numbers. But if I wanted to connect with this person, I could click on Add to My Connections. I could customize a message and click Submit. This will send that person a connection request for them to accept, and once they accept it, I will be in their address book and they'll be in mine. Now, a more complete profile, again, here's the other profile, and again, I can't connect with myself, so you'll see if you're already connected with somebody, that link for add that person to your connections is not there. But as I said, you can do searches for all sorts of things. You can search for categories, you can search for areas, for regions, for keywords. You can even search, and this is a little known fact, you can search for email addresses through here as well. So if you know somebody's email address, you want to connect with them, you could, put the email address in here. So let's say I put in support@bniconnect.com. This would do a search. It would find my profile, and I could connect with that person that way as well. Now, if you're struggling with the search or you have too general or it's returning too many results, what you can do is to click on advanced search up here, and you can break this down specifically by the fields that we're searching against. You can search just for first names or just last names. You can search just within a certain country. And remember, this is a global search. So yes, you can search for members in the UK and in Ireland and in Germany and all over the world. So once you start sending these connection requests, again, this is an opt-in request system. So if I go back to my connections again, so I'm going to go to Network Connections. Down at the bottom, I'll see a folder here. It says Received Requests. If I click on Received Requests, this will show me all of the people that have sent me connection requests. Now, if you know the person and you just want to accept it right away, you can just go ahead and click Accept. You can also ignore it and reject it if you'd like to. But if you're not sure who the person is or you'd like more information on the person, if you click on their picture or you click on their name, that will open up a new tab. Note, it did open a new tab, so my stuff is still there. And I can read more about this person before I decide to go ahead and connect with him. There's also, if they have a customized message with it, I can click on Read Message, for example, and I can see Joe's message to me. I'd like to add you to my connection, and at this point I can choose to accept, ignore, or reject it. If you have multiple connection requests like this, you can go ahead and do Select All and click on Connect, and that'll move them in from your received requests and add them to your connections list. So in a second, my connections should go from 532 to 537. All right, so that's how you connect with people. Now, once you're connected with people, and you do need to be connected with somebody, you can then give them testimonials. So as you're starting to utilize other people's services and as they are starting to utilize your services, one of the options with the people that you're connected with is to give that person a testimonial or ask them for a testimonial. So if I click on Give Alice, for example, she's an executive director from Connecticut. If I choose to, I can give her a testimonial. I just need to write my testimonial out here and click Submit. It will then appear on her profile. It's as easy as that. Now, you are only able to give each person one testimonial, so make it a good one. If you would like to replace that or you'd like it to update it or give them a different testimonial, they would have to remove the one that's on their profile first. Then you'd be able to give them another one. Now, if you'd like to go and review your own personal testimonials or go in and see the other person's testimony or to see who's given you testimonials, you can click on this testimonial button up here. You can go to Network Testimonials, or back on the home screen, you click the Manage button under Testimonials. And this looks very much like the connections. It's just testimonials. So you can go through and you can review any of your testimonials received. So these are testimonials that other people have given you. So you can review them. If you need to delete them, you can delete them from here. You can also choose whether or not to hide the testimonial. So if you don't want to show this on your profile, you can hide that from your profile. Keep in mind that these do only show on the inside profile, so the member-to-member profiles only. The testimonials are not displayed on the public websites. You can also review any of the testimonies that you've given to other people. So if I wanted to go and review somebody else's testimonial, I can do that as well. And then if people have sent you testimonial requests, you can review those here as well and choose to respond to them at that time. All right, and that's the testimonial. So we have, I think, about 5 minutes left till the bottom of the hour. The last thing I want to show you guys today is the groups functionality, and here's where we can really start to take advantage of building relationships on a global scale. This is a bit of a more informal way. So if you're not sure who to connect with, this is where you can discover people to connect with as well, based on common interests and things that people are talking about. So under the groups function, so the tile back on the My Network page here, you can click on Manage, and that will bring you into the groups. Of course, I can always go to Network, Groups as well. That will take me into the groups functionality. Now, as I said, there's about 500 active groups. They're very similar to the groups. LinkedIn has groups and discussion groups and things like that. Yahoo has discussion groups. A lot of these places do. A couple of things that are different about the BNI Connect groups, one of which is that they are active groups. They have to be active groups. If a group goes dormant for more than 90 days, meaning there's no comments or posts or anything made, we'll send out a warning. And then if nobody still responds in there, then we'll shut it down after 120 days. So all of the groups that are in here are active, actively having discussions. The second thing is that it is private. It is private to BNI members only. So these aren't discussions that anybody on the internet can jump in, so they tend to be less spammy, if that explains things a little bit better. So there's not a lot of people, they're not really meant for soliciting business, for example. It's really meant for building relationships. So keep that in mind when you're building these groups. It's about relationship building. It's not about spamming other people for services. So that being said, there are right now, let's see, if at the bottom there's 477 active groups in BNI Connect right now. Now you can just go through, there's about 5 groups per page. So if you want to, you can just page through one at a time and take a look at all 477 groups. If there's a group in here that you are interested in, you can either join it right away by clicking Join Group, or you can click on the topic or the group name. You'll see all the topics that are listed here. If a topic interests you, you click on the topic name, and this will give you all of the discussion points in that particular topic. Now, if you are a member of that group, you would also be able to post a message in that group and really participate in that discussion. Now, going through all of these tabs page by page by page would probably take a while. So there is a search mechanism as well. This magnifying glass up at the top, just click that. It'll fold down a little menu here where you can search the groups by keyword or creator. Now, a couple of groups that I do recommend that you join right away is Dr. Meisner has a couple of groups out there. Dr. Meisner, the founder of BNI, he has 2 open groups that you have the opportunity to have a discussion with about 3,000 people around around the world, as well as with Dr. Meisner himself. He does personally manage those groups. So if you'd like to, for example, look for Dr. Meisner's groups, just under Creator, type in Meisner. And this will show all the groups that he is a creator for. And it's going to come up with 3 different groups, I believe. It's going to be, there's actually 4 groups, the From the Founder group and the Why BNI group. I highly recommend joining those groups. For example, this group From the Founder has a 3,353 participants. The BNI Foundation is another group as well. That's the charitable organization for BNI. So I recommend people join that group as well if you'd like to learn more about that. Now, one thing I mentioned is that once you start participating in these discussions, it's a good way to discover people around the world as well. So, for example, if I go to this From the Founder group, and I'm now participating in some of these discussions, and some of these are pretty amazing. There's one here, the world's largest BNI chapter. If you'd like to find out more about how they got to be there, there are 101 members, for example. So any of these people here, as they're having this discussion, if I click on their name, that will take me to their profile, and then I can do a connection with them as well. So I could say, add Greg Sutter to my connections if I found that I want to learn more about Greg. It also allows me to, if I go back here on the topics page, I can also see the participants, and this will give me a list of all of the people. And once again, I can click on any of these people and go and this one's going to be a little bit slow to load because it's got 3,000 participants in it. But I can go and I can click on this person's profile here, for example, and click through and get to, again, more information about them and connect with them if I need to, or get in touch with them if they're sharing their contact information. All right, now the final thing I just want to show you guys quick is that you do have the ability to create your own groups in BNI Connect. So while I highly recommend joining an active group that's already there, and again, there's discussions on everything going on, you can add your own groups. So all you need to do is click on Add Group at the top there. And you can start up to 7 of your own groups. Every person in the system can host up to 7 discussion groups. I do not recommend hosting 7 groups. That is a lot of conversation work that you'll have to be doing, especially to keep them active every 90 days, but you just need to give the group a name. You can choose what type of group it is. An open group is going to be a group that anybody can see and that anybody can join and participate in. There are also closed groups. There are hidden groups, private groups that only you can bring people into. Give the group a description and let people know what language the primary discussion is going to be. Not all of the groups in BNI Connect and not all of BNI Connect is in English. So there are some discussion groups that are only happening in French and Japanese and Chinese and German. So we're not going to translate the discussion. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but you can let people know what language it's in. All right, so that said, we are at the bottom of the hour, and I know some people have appointments to get to and phone calls to return and clients to entertain. So if you do need to leave right away, I just want to say thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about how to better utilize BNI Connect and to get out there and really tap into the larger global network that is BNI around the world with 200,000 members in about 65 countries at the moment. So really take advantage of that. While I'm wrapping up here, I do invite you guys to ask any questions you'd like to. Please type your questions in and I'm happy to stay as long as necessary to make sure that every single question is answered. Reminder that we are recording this session. It will be posted in 2 places. The first place you want to check is the support site. So right up here in the upper right-hand corner, click that question mark. This question mark is going to bring you to all of our support topics. The very first topic is the upcoming webinars. Now, by the way, a good referral for me. We do this series of webinars on a monthly basis. A good referral is if you could please let your other chapter members know about these webinars and invite them to join us for more information. They can do that by clicking on any of these registration links. Again, we do this whole series of 9 webinars each and every month. So a good referral, so please direct somebody there. But you can also see the January series, for example, and the February series. They were recorded. The March series will be up there soon as well. Right, by clicking through there, you can review any of those, or you can go directly to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. This has our entire library of hundreds of videos, all of the recorded webinars, as well as short education moments, 3 to 5 minute videos, including how do I connect with somebody. If you're looking to help a chapter member out, send them a link to that video and they can learn how to connect with somebody. All right, and finally, I would love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. And we do announcements and reminders and tips and tricks and all sorts of stuff up here on our Facebook page as well. So if you could, take a moment, give us a like, and you can follow information there as well. All right, so does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns on the social media side of BNI Connect or anything else? Happy to answer those questions. All right, Jocelyn says, thank you for the information, and you are so very welcome. Cameron had some comments, compliments on the session today as well. Thank you so much, Cameron. I appreciate that. Let's see. Mulata says, that was great. Thank you. I've learned the new group connections. So excellent. Thank you for being here. All right, everything must have been crystal clear. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to email us, support@bniconnect.com. Oh, hold on a second. Before I give the closing speech, we do have a question from Jason. Jason, really about yesterday's webinar. He says, I was printing my slips for the CEUs and I noticed I had a referral number on my palms, but I didn't see a referral. So Jason, a couple of things. If your chapter is using, let me get back to the home screen here. I'm going to go back to my BNI business. So if your chapter is using paper slips as well as the online slips, if you haven't gone completely digital, then somebody could have turned in a paper slip as a referral for you, and that would have created the one on your report. The thing to check is sometimes the notifications, like the email notification for the referral notice, we are combating spam filters on a daily basis. So it could be that your spam filter has caught that and didn't allow the message to be delivered, but you should be able to click on your received referrals report. And in the received referrals report, if they sent that electronically, your referral should be in there as a received referral, even though you didn't get the notification for it. So does that help, Jason? And if that doesn't seem to do the trick, just if you want, submit a support ticket, support@bniconnect.com, and we will be happy to troubleshoot that directly with you. All right, and yes, of course, absolutely. John, you want to give yourself a CEU for today's training as well, so make sure on the home screen here on the My BNI business page, make sure you guys submit a CEU slip. Give yourself a 1 credit for being here on today's webinar. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me of that, John. Jason says, maybe it was because of the thank you for closed business I did the previous week. That shouldn't really affect it. The thank you for closed business slips and the referral slips aren't really tied together in any way. So that shouldn't be the reason for it. My guess is that it was a paper slip that was entered, or it was one that you just didn't get the notification for. But again, if that doesn't seem to be the case, just shoot me an email. I need more information about your chapter and things like that in order to troubleshoot that further. All right. Anita says, appreciate your time, and BJ says, thanks so much. Yep, yeah, Jason, definitely check with your VP. That's the best first place to go. All right, are there any other questions? Any other questions at all? All right. Once again, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. If you guys want to take a deep dive into BNI Connect, we're going to be going beyond the home screen and beyond the network screen and looking at some of the tools and reports in BNI Connect. We're going to be doing that on Monday. So this coming Monday, which is March 14th, we're going to be talking about the member tools and reports. Same bat time, same bat channel, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. UK time. Again, on Monday, we're going to be talking about the member tools and reports, and then we're going to follow that up with the last one of this series, which is inviting and registering visitors next Tuesday. After that, we're going to move into our leadership team series. So if you're on the leadership team, you can join us for those as well. In the meantime, thank you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Happy connecting.